Your brain runs horror movies. At 3 a.m., the terrifying psychology behind it. It's 3 a.m. The room is completely dark. Your phone is face down. The house is dead quiet. And then it starts. A voice, clear as day, inside your head. It's your boss, your ex, your mom, your best friend, someone who hurt you, someone you hurt. And they are saying every single thing you were terrified they were thinking about you. You're not asleep. You're wide awake, lying in the dark, having a full argument with someone who isn't even in the room. Your face is getting hot. Your chest is tight. You can feel your heartbeat in your throat. And the worst part, you can't stop it. Now here's what nobody talks about. What's happening in those moments isn't just anxiety. It isn't just overthinking. According to neuroscience, your brain has activated one of its most powerful and most dangerous systems. A system designed to keep you alive. And it is absolutely terrorizing you with it. Today we're going deep into the psychology of 3 a.m. fate conversations. The science behind them. The horror behind them. And we're following a guy named Jordan, whose 3 a.m. mind didn't just wake him up. It almost completely erased him. Stay with me. This one is going to hit close to home. What your brain is actually doing at 3 a.m. Before we get into Jordan's story, the real science, because this isn't just a vibe. This is documented, measured, studied in labs. Real quick, you ever notice that 3 a.m. hits different? Like specifically 3 a.m., not 1 a.m., not 4 a.m., 3. That's not a coincidence. Researchers found that cortisol, your body's primary stress hormone, naturally spikes between 2 and 4 a.m. It's meant to prep you for waking up. But here's the problem. That cortisol surge doesn't just wake you up. It cranks your threat detection to full volume. At the same time, your prefrontal cortex, the rational part, the part that says, calm down, this isn't real, is still half asleep. Maximum threat sensitivity, minimum rational control, happening simultaneously. That's not a glitch. That's a design flaw for million years of evolution handed you. Congratulations. Now add the default mode network, the DMN, a system of brain regions that fires up specifically when you're not focused on a task, when there's nothing external demanding attention, like lying in total darkness at 3 a.m. When the DMN activates, your brain doesn't rest. It runs simulations, replays past events, projects future threats, builds entire conversations that haven't happened and may never happen. Scientists call this rumination. Real talk, it's your brain making horror movies. You're the only one in the theater, alone, at 3 a.m. And here's the kicker. Studies show the brain processes imagined emotional scenarios using the same neural pathways as real experiences. So when you're lying in bed imagining your boss firing you, your body's stress response is nearly identical to if it were actually happening. The humiliation is real. The fear is real. The grief is real. Because to your nervous system, it is real. Now let me tell you about Jordan. Because Jordan didn't just have bad nights. Jordan had a complete breakdown. And the 3 a.m. conversations started it all. The guy who thought he was handling it. Jordan is 31. Used to be a high school history teacher. Genuinely loved it. The kind of teacher kids actually remembered. The kind who stayed after class, who learned everyone's names on day one, who made history feel like it mattered. 2 years ago, Jordan made a mistake. He made a dark joke during a lecture about historical propaganda. The kind of edgy, thought-provoking thing good teachers sometimes do to get students thinking. One student filmed the 10-second clip. Out of context, it looked bad. It went viral over a weekend. By Monday morning, Jordan had been suspended. By Friday, he'd resigned. He lost his job, his reputation, and 3 months later, his fiancée, who said she couldn't handle the public attention, who said she needed space, who then never came back. Jordan went from a full, purposeful life to a one-bedroom apartment and a remote data entry job in the span of about 60 days. He told everyone he was fine. He told his mom he was taking time to reset. He told his friends he was honestly doing better than expected. He was not doing better than expected. During the day, he kept it together. He worked. He went to the gym. He watched TV. He functioned. But the thing about unprocessed shame, the kind that comes from a public humiliation, from watching your entire identity get dismantled in a news cycle, is that it doesn't schedule itself for convenient hours. It schedules itself for 3 a.m. The first time it happened was about a month after he moved into the new apartment. Jordan woke up at 3:17 a.m. and immediately, like someone had hit play on a projector, he was back in that school hallway. His principal's face, the conversation where he was told to pack his desk, the exact words, the exact tone, the exact way the principal wouldn't meet his eyes. He lay there for 2 hours, sweating, heart hammering, replaying it on loop. He figured it was a one-time thing. Stress. Bad week. It was not a one-time thing. When the conversations start talking back, within 3 weeks it was every night, always between 3 and 4 a.m. Always the same cast, his principal, his ex-fiancée, the parents who left angry voicemails, the students he'd never teach again. But here's where it shifts from sad to genuinely unsettling. The conversations stopped being replays of things that had happened. They started becoming things that had never happened, but felt inevitable. He'd imagine running into his ex at a grocery store. Her face, her exact words, the expression, not anger, worse, pity. He'd imagine his mom calling, voice tight, saying she was embarrassed. She never said that. She never would. But at 3 a.m. his brain played it with perfect, devastating detail. He'd imagine a former student, one of the good ones, the one who always showed up early, finding him online and sending one message. I looked up to you. I can't believe who you really are. That message never came. But his body didn't know that. Every fake conversation fired the same shame response as if it had actually happened. By 4 a.m. he'd be exhausted, convinced some deep part of him that every worst-case scenario was already decided. This is maladaptive rumination. The brain stops problem-solving and starts catastrophizing. The DMN runs the same loop with no off switch. Each replay deepens the neural pathway, makes the next one more automatic, more vivid, more real, like carving a groove into wood. Every time the thought runs through, the groove gets deeper, until the thought doesn't need a trigger. It just falls in automatically. At 3 a.m., every night, Jordan did what most people do. He tried to outrun it. TV on all night, phone in his hand until his eyes gave out. White noise apps, lights on, 3 different sleep playlists. Nothing worked, because you cannot outrun something that lives inside you. The night the conversation answered back. 6 months in, Jordan hadn't slept more than 4 hours in a row in weeks. He'd lost 15 pounds. He was behind on work. He'd stopped answering texts. From the outside, if you didn't know him, you'd say he looked fine. The people who did know him said he looked hollow. Then came the night it crossed a line. 3:22 a.m. Jordan woke up mid-conversation, not from a dream. He hadn't been asleep. He'd been lying there in the dark, and the fake conversation with his ex had gotten so vivid, so detailed, so emotionally loaded, that he was talking back to it. Out loud. In the dark. Alone. He heard his own voice say, I know I messed everything up. And then silence. He sat up and turned on the light. His hands were shaking. Because for a half second, in that place between exhaustion and darkness, he'd genuinely forgotten that nobody else was in the room. That's when he understood, for the first time, that this wasn't just stress. This wasn't just a rough patch. Something was happening to him. Something his willpower alone couldn't fix. What Jordan was experiencing has a specific name in clinical psychology. It's called hyperactive threat simulation. When the brain has absorbed a significant trauma, in Jordan's case, public shame, identity loss, and abandonment all at once, and that trauma goes unprocessed, the default mode network doesn't just run occasional simulations. It goes into overdrive. It starts treating every quiet moment as an opportunity to rehearse every possible way things could go wrong. And the darker and quieter the environment, the more power it has. 3 a.m. is the perfect storm. Maximum cortisol, minimum rational control, total sensory darkness, nothing to focus on externally. Your trauma gets the whole stage, and it is not a gentle performer. What Jordan did that changed everything.
The morning after the night he talked back to nobody, Jordan called a therapist. Not because he'd hit rock bottom, but because he'd seen the bottom clearly enough to know he didn't want to keep walking toward it. In his first session, the therapist said something that genuinely rocked him. She said, "Jordan, your brain isn't broken. It's doing exactly what it was designed to do. It's trying to protect you from more pain. The problem is it's using the wrong strategy. It thinks if it rehearses the worst-case scenarios enough times, you'll be prepared for them. What it doesn't understand is that rehearsal isn't preparation, it's just more damage. Let that sit for a second. Your brain isn't trying to torture you at 3 a.m., it genuinely believes it's keeping you safe. It's running those fake conversations because on some deep, primal level it thinks, if I can just prepare him for every possible rejection, every possible humiliation, every possible loss, then when it happens, it won't destroy him. The problem is the preparation is the destruction." The therapist introduced Jordan to a technique called cognitive diffusion. Instead of trying to stop the thoughts, which research consistently shows does not work, suppressed thoughts always come back stronger, you learn to change your relationship with them. You stop treating them as truth. You start treating them as what they actually are. A scared part of you, trying its best, getting it wrong. So the next time 3 a.m. hit, and it did hit.
Because healing isn't instant. Instead of fighting the conversation or trying to drown it out, Jordan tried something different. He lay in the dark, let the conversation start. And when his brain served up the image of his principal, the words, the shame, Jordan said out loud, quietly, "I hear you. You're scared this defines me. It doesn't. But I hear you." The first time he did it, nothing dramatic happened. The conversation kept going. But something small shifted. Because instead of fighting a war inside his own head, he'd acknowledged a scared part of himself. And that part, for just a moment, felt less alone. Over weeks, then months, the grooves got shallower. Not gone, but quieter. The conversations went from horror movies to whispers, from commands to suggestions, from 3 a.m. every night to 3 a.m. once a week, then less. Jordan isn't fixed. He's human. But he sleeps now, and that matters more than he can put into words. What your 3 a.m. mind is actually trying to say. Real talk. I didn't tell you Jordan's story just to creep you out. Although the image of someone talking back to an empty room at 3 a.m., genuinely forgetting they're alone, that's unsettling on a level that sticks with you. I told you Jordan's story because I think a massive number of people watching this video have their own version of 3 a.m. Maybe it's not every night. Maybe it's just when things go sideways. But you know the feeling. That specific horror of being completely alone with a mind that won't shut up. That plays the same painful conversations on loop. That serves you the worst-case version of every relationship you care about. Here's the truth the science is telling us.
And I want you to really hear this. The loudness of your 3 a.m. thoughts is directly proportional to the size of the wound you haven't let yourself fully feel during the day. That's not a metaphor. That's neuroscience. Unprocessed emotional experiences don't evaporate. They get stored. And when the distractions disappear, when the screens go off and the noise dies down, and the only thing left is you in the dark, your brain finally gets its window, and it uses it. The 3 a.m. conversations aren't random. They are precise. They go exactly where the wound is. They replay exactly the moment that broke something in you. They put words in the mouths of exactly the people whose opinions you've been terrified of. Because that's where the unfinished business is. So here's your life lesson. Not a Pinterest quote. Not a soft landing. The real thing. Stop treating your 3 a.m. mind as the enemy. It's not attacking you. It's flagging you. It's doing what an overprotective, slightly panicked friend does when they're convinced something's wrong. It gets loud. It gets relentless. It doesn't stop until you actually pay attention. The move isn't to drown it out. Every person who's ever tried to outrun their 3 a.m. thoughts with Netflix or phone scrolling or noise machines knows. It comes back. Always. And it comes back louder. The move is to ask it what it actually needs. Not at 3 a.m. necessarily. That's not the time for deep self-excavation, but in the daylight, with a journal, with a therapist, with a real conversation with someone you actually trust. Give the wound some oxygen during the day so it doesn't have to scream at you in the dark. Because here is what Jordan learned, and what I want you to take from this. Your brain running 3 a.m. horror movies isn't a sign that you're crazy.
It isn't a sign that you're weak. It isn't a sign that the worst-case scenarios are true. It is a sign that something in you is carrying more than it should carry alone. And carrying things alone in the dark is exactly how they start to feel like monsters. The 3 a.m. conversation is never really about what it sounds like it's about. It's never really about your boss, or your ex, or that thing you said 3 years ago. It's about the deeper fear underneath all of those things. Am I enough? Am I lovable? Am I someone who can be forgiven? And the answer to all three of those questions is yes. But you can't hear it at 3 a.m. when your cortisol is spiking and your rational brain is half asleep and your default mode network has the stage. You have to build that answer during the day. So it's there waiting for you when the dark comes. That's the whole thing. That's the exit. If you've been in Jordan's 3 a.m., if any part of this felt less like a story and more like a mirror, drop a comment. Tell me what your 3 a.m. conversation sounds like. Who's in it? You don't have to go deep. Even just, yeah, this is me, is enough. I read every single one. No cap. If this hit different, share it. Send it to someone who calls themselves broken for having thoughts they can't control at 3 a.m. Sometimes people need to hear the thing from outside their own head before they can actually receive it. Subscribe and hit the bell. Every video on this channel goes deeper. We don't do surface level. We go into the dark, because that's where the real understanding lives. Video 3 is already in the works. Trust me, you don't want to miss it. Take care of your mind out there, especially at 3 a.m. Catch you in the next one. Peace.